Good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. We're here this morning for an Administrative Matters meeting. I call this meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join if you can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kristen Stevens, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. With me are my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Jody Shattuck McNally and Commissioner John Kafalis. To my right, we have Lindsay Jones from the clerk's office. We have our county manager, Lorinda Volker, Tom Clayton from Public Affairs, and Sarah Martin from the Commissioner's office. So welcome everyone who's here. We begin these meetings with public comment. We don't have anyone on the phone for public comment this morning. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to give public comment? It's largely staff, so I'm guessing no, but seeing no hands raised, we will close public comment and just remind folks that they can contact us by email, by phone, come back next week at 9 and give public comment, and we'd love to hear from you. So we will go to our next item on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes, and I would ask Commissioner Kafalis to make that motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. I move to approve the minutes for the week of February 10th, 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. We will move to Sarah Martin for our schedule review for next week.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for February 24th through March 2nd. On Monday, February 24th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., there will be a work session with the Office of Emergency Management regarding approval of emergency operations plans in the Commissioner's conference room on the second floor. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be a work session for an update on the internal climate plan in the Commissioner's conference room on the second floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioner's conference room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., Commissioners may attend the Fort Collins State of the City address at the Lincoln Center at 417 West Magnolia Street in Fort Collins. On Tuesday, February 25th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m., there will be legislative direction to county staff in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. On Wednesday, February 26th, from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Shattuck McNally may attend the North Fort Collins Business Association meeting at the Rocky Mountain Innisphere at 320 East Vine Drive in Fort Collins. From 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Larimer County Community Health Improvement Plan Update event at the Drake Center at 802 West Drake Road in Fort Collins. From 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Governing Board meeting. From 10:45 a.m. to 12:15 a.m., Commissioners will attend a tour of the Justice Center at 201 LaPorte Avenue in Fort Collins. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be a work session with Emily Humphrey, Director of Community Justice Alternatives, in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Fair Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at the McKee 4-H Youth and Community Building at 5280 Arena Circle in Loveland or virtually via Zoom. On Thursday, February 27th, from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis and Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Natural Resources and Wildfire and Public Health and Human Services Committee meeting. From 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Regional Opioid Abatement Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at the Behavioral Health Services Building at 2260 West Trilby Road, or virtually via Zoom. From 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual non-attainment area air pollution mitigation enterprise board meeting. From 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Fort Collins Urban Renewal Authority board meeting. From 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Open Lands Advisory Board meeting at the Horsetooth Area Information Center at 4200 West County Road 38E in Fort Collins. On Friday, February 28th, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Middle Income Housing Authority Board Finance Subcommittee meeting. From 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., the Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Transportation and Housing Committee meeting. On Saturday, March 1st, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the 2025 National Association of Counties Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Intergenerational Conversations Community event at Compass Community Collaborative School at 2105 South College Avenue in Fort Collins. From 12:45 to 2:15 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will volunteer at the Larimer County 4-H Carnival at the Ranch at 5280 Arena Circle in Loveland. And on Sunday, March 2nd, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the 2025 National Association of Counties Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Sarah. Commissioners, any updates to your schedules? No? Commissioner Shattuck McNally? No? I think we're good. Thank you, Sarah. So we will move on to the consent agenda. As a reminder, these are usually have no controversy, routine administrative matters, and will be voted on in bulk. So we will go through that agenda. The first item on the agenda is abatements. So there's one abatement, and that information on that can be found online. We have several agreements on the consent agenda. The first is an agreement with the Colorado Poverty Law Project for a 2025 grant agreement. This gives eviction prevention, legal representation, and education to residents in our community, and the total dollar amount is $150,000. Next agreement is weatherization service for low-income residents in Larimer County. This will improve energy efficiency and cut energy waste for low-income residents in Larimer County. That runs through the end of the year, and the total dollar amount is $40,000. We have a revision to the agreement with the Crystal Lakes Road and Recreation Association. The Office of Emergency Management is serving as a fiscal administrator for the Crystal Lakes Fuels Mitigation Project, funded through the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Program. And the Crystal Lakes Road and Recreation Association is providing the cost share for this agreement. And this agreement replaces a previously executed agreement and will be in effect upon execution through until March 31st, 2025. For the total dollar amount, the grant was awarded in two phases. The phase one funding was $20,000 for conducting an archaeological review of the project area, and phase two funding is approximately a little over $1 million for the purpose of hiring a forester and implementing mitigation treatments. The next agreement on the agenda is a development agreement for CBEP Solar 3. This is an agreement between the Board of County Commissioners and CBEP Solar 3 LLC. And the agreement outlines requirements and agreements regarding revegetation, landscape collateral, decommissioning plan, and decommissioning bond. We have two appointments on the agenda, an appointment to the Meadow Hills General Improvement District for Trevor Eigel, with an appointment ending on November 30th, 2028, and an appointment to the Agricultural Advisory Board for John Forrest and Sam Parsey, and their terms would end November 30th, 2027. We have one deed. This is a deed of dedication for County Road right-of-way PN 337 in perpetuity. We have several liquor licenses. The first is a liquor license renewal for JJ's Bar and Grill in Fort Collins. We have a liquor license renewal for Enrich Corporation doing business as the Inn of Glenhaven. That's a hotel restaurant with optional premise license. And finally, a liquor license renewal for Carter Lake Marina, and that's a fermented malt beverage on and off premises license. Two miscellaneous items, a grant award from FEMA, Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grant, and the Hazard Mitigation Plan update. The Office of Emergency Management was recently advised by the Colorado Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management that our application for funding through the FEMA Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities program was awarded, and that award will provide $200,000 of funding for the purpose of updating our multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. And then the second miscellaneous item is a Colorado Parks and Wildlife Impact Assistant Grant application. Any county that has land in the Colorado Parks and that's owned by Colorado Parks and Wildlife is eligible to receive an impact assistance grant to mitigate the costs of exempt state land being withdrawn from property tax rolls. Larimer County has 2,800 acres of state parks and 29,000 acres of state wildlife areas, totaling a little over 32,000 acres. And this grant application seeks $73,641. We have one resolution. That's the last item on the agenda, and that's an amended findings and resolutions approving the Poudre Fire Authority sign appeal. This was heard in public hearing on January 10th, 2025. The Poudre Fire Authority would like a sign that contains electric messaging, and that could alert people to emergency situations in the high country. So we allowed that appeal to happen. So that is all for our consent agenda. Would either commissioner like to remove anything from the consent agenda? All right. Then Commissioner Shattuck McNally, I'll ask you to make the motion for this item.
Certainly, Madam Chair. I move to approve the consent agenda for February 18th, 2025.
Thank you. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Lots of great items on there. Thank you all for being here for those items. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. Any guests for either one of you? Nope. Okay. We have no discussion items this morning. So we're just running through this agenda. We're almost done here, folks. The next item is County Manager Update.
Thank you, Commissioners. I will keep it really brief, but it's pretty important. On Friday, the department leaders and elected officials from across the county came together for a budget workshop to try to close the gap. There is now a funding limit, 10.5% over 2 years for county revenue. And so we have about a $6 million gap we need to close over the next 2.5 years. The best way to do that is by getting the people who do the work to get in a room and think about efficiencies and ways that they can avoid cost. We really aren't looking at things like layoffs and early retirements and those kind of things because we think that we can come up with the difference that we need by these kind of efforts. And I just want to extend my appreciation to this group. Every office and department had a representative or two. The conversation was robust. We had to shut it down when the time came because ideas were still flowing, which is wonderful. There's a lot more work to be done, but it was a really great start. It felt like a really safe place to ask questions and offer ideas and not be defensive about your own services, which is really hard because we all believe in the things that we do for the county and the people who do that work for us. So more to come. It will take us probably through the budget process to begin to have some ideas come forward for you. But know that a lot of work is happening in the background. All the right people are putting the right kind of time in, putting their heads together. And special thanks to the budget team. Josh Fudge did a wonderful job facilitating this meeting, and I really appreciate their work. I think that's all. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda. Any questions for Lorinda? Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
First, I just want to say thank you first, thanks to all the directors and employees and staff and department heads since we came on the board. They have worked tirelessly to look at our efficiencies and innovation and have continued to do that every year. And I know we're now getting into some. They're not. We never had frivolous things or we're cutting into things that are really going to impact folks. And I know that concerns our staff greatly because they really care about our community, and I know they care about the work that they do. I want to thank you for and your leadership team for the leadership and the way that you strategically let folks come to the table with ideas instead of a top down. It really coming from the folks who are doing the work, and it's really a great process. And I know that comes a lot from your leadership especially the last couple of years. And I think that's real. I want to just commend you for that because I think that's really an exemplar for the world right now as we're trying to figure out how we keep doing the things that we do that are helping our residents and do them well. And as it says, committed to excellence. And I know that that is one thing that you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or? Yeah, thank you, Lauren. Appreciate that. I appreciate everyone, being committed to that process, since we certainly want to have cuts that are not affecting people's jobs for the most part. And so I think that piece is really important as we go forward, because we have a lot of services to provide for the community, and the people that we have as staff members really do that work. And so, but thank you for looking for efficiencies, and for the budget team for doing that as well is really important. Thank you. All right, we will move on to Commissioner activity reports. Commissioner Kafalis, we'll start with you.
Thank you. And yes, thank you to the strategic leadership team with all the good discussion, constructive, that took place on Friday morning. I'll share just a couple of things that I think are most relevant. One is that last Wednesday I attended the Workforce Development Board meeting, which was at the Colorado State University Powerhouse Energy Institute. There was a great presentation, as always, from Dr. Brian Wilson, who talked about all the amazing research and economic activity that occurs at the campus. They talk about energy and carbon solutions, research that's applied, trying to solve problems, and then ultimately scaling up those activities. A lot of businesses have come out of the Powerhouse Institute, and so that was a great session and a lot of good discussion amongst the Workforce Development Board members. On Thursday, both Commissioner Shattuck McNally and I attended the Fort Collins Lions Club luncheon at the Salvation Army. It was a celebration of folks who have been serving for many years. There were a couple of folks who have been serving for 50 years with the Fort Collins Lions Club. They do a lot of amazing things. They do a great job of cooking pancakes and all of the rest, but they focus a lot in eye care, vision care. They help support a local nonprofit called Insight, which provides vision care and glasses for folks who have visual impairments. It was a very nice event. It was a lot of fun, and it was nice to connect with a few folks that I hadn't seen in quite a number of years, including, for example, former Mayor Doug Hutchinson was there. He's a big advocate for that Insight group. I think the last thing I'll mention is on Friday, we had a visit from various folks from the Department of Local Affairs, and all three of us attended the luncheon at the Center for Creativity. Good food, good discussion, good updates on the Department of Local Affairs and their work and their support of community projects. I also attended three of the site visits prior to the luncheon. One was at Hartside Hill, and it was good to get an update from neighbor-to-neighbor folks. Since the last time I was there, currently there's vertical construction on the Community Life Center, which wasn't the case the last time. So they're starting to work on the Community Life Center, which ultimately will provide child care and a space for folks to gather. But the apartments are moving right along. I think there are 74 affordable apartments. And one thing I learned is that I think it's August 7th, they're going to do a grand opening. We'll hear more about that, but a grand opening for the first two buildings. Folks will be able to move in. And it turns out that I believe August 7th is also the 94th birthday of Sister Mary Alice Murphy. I don't believe that's a coincidence. I also visited Mason Place, which is one of two permanent supportive housing communities in Fort Collins. Red Tail Ponds was the first, and then Mason Place. And it was a good presentation from staff. The Housing Catalyst Director, Julie Bruin, was there. And permanent supportive housing is best practices for helping folks experiencing homelessness get off the streets. They have 60 apartments at Red Tail, 60 apartments at Mason Place. 100% of the residents are engaged in a service plan. So the uniqueness of this is that folks get into stable housing and they have a lot of support services, wraparound services, mental health, substance. If there's a substance use disorder issue, 84.8% of residents remain stably housed. I mean, it's a really good model. Since 2015, 265 residents have been served, 92 veterans, 67 women, and there's a whole lot of other statistics that I think I'm happy to share the flyer. So it was great to go there. And then finally, before the luncheon, I went for a little bit to the Powerhouse once again, and I got to hear Dr. Wilson speak and also talk about economic activity and all the rest. That's all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Commissioner Fowles. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Tuesday, I was very thrilled to attend the Scaling Resilience Hubs, Tools and Lessons for a Climate-Ready Front Range, and it was a presentation of good exemplars in the face of increasing wildfires, extreme heat, power outages, and other disruptions in cities, towns, and counties. They're looking for solutions to actually help them thrive as we are a climate-packed future looking and reality for us. Larimer County was mentioned several times with La Familia and the resiliency macrogrids and other models, and so it was great to see that Larimer County was showcased, and those items, and this was put on by the CRSE2 group. Heidi Pruis has a strong connection to them, and I was very proud, Commissioner, to see all the work that was highlighted there. We did have our Loveland Urban Renewal Authority Board meeting. We were trying to get some new bylaws and kind of shorten some of the discussion times and also maybe restructure how public comment. They have, the way Loveland does it versus other organizations is they have public comment before every item they open, and I'm seeing if we can push public comment all into one space at the beginning of the meeting. So we'll see how that goes. It didn't. It got paused that evening, and so fingers crossed that we're able to streamline some of those activities. I did attend the NACO Rural Action Caucus meeting, the National Association of Environment, Energy, and Land Use Steering Committee meeting. That was really a great meeting as we get ready for our resolutions. We're going through all the resolutions at that time. And then I attended the first Climate Smart Knowledge Break series, which was on land conservation. And it was a very large group. The room was full, and it was really good conversations, lots of important questions. And I really was appreciative of the youth, all the way to retired folks and older adults that were in the meeting. It was a very diverse group, and I thought that was kind of a good note to share with you all. We had the LICOG board meeting, and they're still looking at budgets and how they do things in the work plan with tightening money for them to do what they need. There's a statutory board, and so it's kind of tied to some of that work. I did attend the Lions Club luncheon, as my colleague mentioned. They celebrated 4 folks, one with 10 years, 40, 45, and 50. They have helped in their, I think they're celebrating 100 and 105 years, 110 years of service as a Lions Club and the state and in this around this county. They have a long time service. I think in the last 5 years they've served 8,000 students, which is a lot. They said 17,000 eyeballs, so you like divide that by 2. And it was really great to be invited to that. I sat with Denise Clymer, who helped organize this. She is a former state president and our immediate past president. So I learned a lot about their connection and what they do as a state. And it was really a fun event, and I appreciate celebrating those folks who have given of service for a long time. You think about 50 years, that's that's pretty much your whole adult life giving back, and I think that's pretty special. Office on Aging had just their regular kind of board meeting, nothing really strategic or very important work that they do, but not a lot to share from there. And then, as you know, we had our CCI meetings and CCAT meetings on Friday, but I did enjoy the lunch as we got to meet with the Deputy Executive Director, Mo Miskell, and all of his department directors. It was great to talk with Ms. George of the housing and, of course, Mr. Bergman and others, and see our former employee who's doing great with resiliency, Shale Shabo, and I really appreciate the conversations and a chance to share and be with our colleagues and have conversations about the work that we do together through for the Department of Local Affairs. They're a great group, and I just really appreciate them coming to share, to hang out with us and really great projects we partnered on. I went and attended the 105th Daughters of American Revolution Namaqua Chapter Patriotic Tea. 105th. And I've gone to that now for 7 years in a row. It is really well done. A lot of very formal process for their meetings. And in this presentation, they had essays from 6 young ladies, and Miss Valentine was there as well. The one who won the essay contest for the Namaqua chapter, Olivia, I'm going to mess her name, Collins, I believe. Forgive me if I've got it. They took my program away before I turned around. They were cleaning up. But she just was informed yesterday that she won 2nd place for the state of Colorado at the essay contest, and I want to congratulate her. That was pretty special. And a lot of dignitaries, the fire chief, the police chief, the mayor, and lots of others, and the superintendent. And it was great to have a little bright time to celebrate the youth in our community. And that's all I have to share. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll be brief since we still have a legal matters meeting, but had the Downtown Development Authority meeting on Thursday morning with Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority. And in that meeting, we approved some dollars to go towards the Jerome and Vine intersection. So that's a very problematic intersection for both pedestrians and bikes. There have been numerous accidents and a fatality at that area. So the week before, the Urban Renewal Authority had approved dollars for that, and this week the DDA did. So look for some improvements to happen on that intersection. Then just wanted to mention that at the CCAT transportation meeting, we learned that the vulnerable road users, speaking of vulnerable road users, bill was postponed indefinitely, and it may come back in a different format. We'd like to see that come back because that's a safety for all measure, and that the transportation mode shift kind of bill is undergoing significant amendments, and we'll kind of see what comes back with that. At our Urban Renewal Authority Finance meeting on Thursday, we learned about a new middle-income housing project that's going to happen on North College, so that's exciting. So lots of excitement around North College right now. And then on Friday, I attended the introduction for the Works Allocation Committee, so I agreed to serve on that board. For those folks who don't know, that looks into the allocation and funding for the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Fund. There's a lot of buzz around that issue right now because there are not enough dollars to do what needs to be done, both in that space and in other spaces in human services. So I think that board will see a lot of I don't want to use the word action, but there'll be a lot to do on that board during this year. And then finally on Saturday, I went to one of the Book Fest events, met an author who wrote a memoir which details her life on the Yuma Reservation and then in Farmington, New Mexico. And it turns out she is the sister of one of my boarding school friends. So it was really nice to meet her. And Book Fest is really great. I think it's over now. So I hope you got to see some of the events. If you did not, look for it next year. It's a great way to meet authors and to kind of delve into the book world, and thankful for Poudre Libraries for sponsoring that. So that is all for me. We do have a legal matter. That's our last item on the agenda, and no decision is expected. So once we close out the meeting here, we won't be coming back online. And I will ask Commissioner Shattuck McNally to make the motion for that.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move that the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County move into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute Sections 24-6-402-4E and 4B, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations and instructing negotiators related to the acquisition of a public right-of-way for the Taft Hill Improvement Project and for conferences with an attorney for legal advice about process.
There's a motion on the table. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. So we will now move into executive session. As I said, there will not be a decision expected out of this executive session, so we will not be coming back online, but we will see you next week. Thank you.